Hey there, it's Chris from Good Roads, and I decided this year to go the DIY route for my Christmas presents. There's one project in particular that I wanted to share with you guys because we've done a little bit of metal casting here on the channel, and I thought it would be fun to kick off the new year with some fire and some red hot molten metal. So, in this video, I'm going to be casting a custom brass bar slide for a steel or lap guitar using a modified lost PLA method. Let's get into it. First thing I need is a slide design. I based my design off some dimensions I pulled from some finger slides that I have, and the rest I came up with through iteration, or as it's better known, trial and error. I printed out a bunch of quick sketches with different configurations of grips, radiuses, and noses, all to try to find something that felt comfortable in the hand and that I thought would work well. This red design is what I decided on, a sort of radiused butterfly grip with one working end of the slide being sharper and the other being more blunt. The thought there being that you'd have some options with how you play. A plastic slide isn't really going to work, but I did some quick testing to see how it felt in the hand and on the strings, and I think we're looking good. Ugh, sounds terrible. Once my design was finalized, I needed to start getting ready to cast. I'm going to be using this dead simple method I learned from Robinson Foundry, but modifying it a bit to fit the materials I already have available. The first step was to design a casting tree for my parts. I've got a pour spout, runners, gates, and vents, as well as cavities for 2 of my custom slides. Now, here's where things start to get cool. For this casting method, you don't remove the PLA part from the mold. The molten metal just burns it out. But that means you need to print with as little plastic as possible. I printed this casting tree with one 0.4mm wall, 2 0.2mm top and bottom layers, and something like 3% line infill. So it's really just a shell with the bare minimum plastic holding it together. The next step is to cover your printed part with joint compound, the stuff you use to fill in gaps and nail holes in sheetrock work. It comes in much smaller amounts than this, but I had this big old bucket on hand, so that's what I'm going with. Use what you got. I used a cheap paintbrush to dab and smear the compound all over the surface of the print. Waited for it to dry, and then applied a second coat to try to catch any spots I may have missed and to give the shell a little bit more strength. Once that coat is dry as well, it's time to get casting. Previously, I've only done 2-part sandcast molds, and for certain uses, Robinson Foundry's technique seems much more simple, because all you do at this point is embed the compound-coated print in some casting sand. He uses sodium silicate, which cures hard when exposed to carbon dioxide, mixed with playground sand to lock his parts in place. I'm going to deviate from the script a little bit here and use this water-bonded casting sand because, as you might have already guessed, it's what I had at hand. Use what you got. I sifted sand over my printed parts and gently compressed it around the part and compound, being careful not to deform the part or crack the shell. This casting sand packs a lot like a sandcastle, so it actually held together surprisingly well as I got it into place. Once the whole shebang has a protective coat of sand around it, I just seeded it on another layer of sand in this steel pot. Then I added more sand around it and gently tamped it in, again trying to get it firm, but also trying not to deform the part. Robinson Foundry's video recommends burning through the top layer of your print to open up access to the pour spouts and stuff, so let's give that a shot.
Oh, it's on fire. It's on fire. It is supposed to be on fire? I don't know if it's supposed to be on fire. I think it's probably okay. Probably.
And with that done, it's time to melt some metal. For metal, I'm using literally all of the craft store brass stock I have. Hopefully this is enough. When it finally got up to temp, there was a lot of dross, and the vapors coming off the crucible made it hard to see the surface of the metal. In retrospect, I think I may have been running a little too hot at 1000 degrees Celsius, but this is my first time casting brass, and I've still got a lot to learn. Any tips? Leave them down in the comments below. Anyway, once the crud was skimmed out, it was time to pour.
Oh my God. I don't think that worked. Maybe it worked. I have no idea. Carcinogens. Yeah, it sure does seem like there's a lot of freaking dross in there, man. I think I gotta get some better metal. Let's close this up, turn the power off. I'd be very surprised if that worked. Oh, wait a minute. There's, well, I don't think it did. I don't think I filled the cavities. There is metal in the runners though. We'll see. Once the metal had some time to cool down, I unpacked it from its sandy tomb. There's some metal in there. I would hope so. Clink, clink, clink. Oh, wow. Wow! Wow! Oh no! Dang it, that was what I was worried was gonna happen. Okay, but the technique works, which is sick. Those casts look fantastic, man. And indeed, it kinda, sorta didn't work. But only because I didn't have enough metal to fill my mold. You can see where the mold did fill, the casts are so accurate that they're even getting the layer lines of the 3D prints. I am thoroughly impressed. I did not expect it to be this easy. And the good news is that it's an easy problem to solve, so I redesigned my casting tree, this time with only one slide to save metal, and a bigger pour spout and vents to help the metal and smoke and stuff flow more freely. This tree design also allowed me to print without any infill, which means less junk material for the molten brass to contend with. I gave it its 2 coats of compound, and into the sand it went. I burned out the top of my print. And now I want to introduce you to my newest piece of safety kit. I picked up this combo respirator face shield so I can protect my lungs from noxious fumes, protect my eyes from, well, everything, and not have to worry about my breath fogging up my safety goggles, a common issue for large schnozzed individuals like myself. Foggy goggles make it hard to see where you're putting the red hot molten metal, and that is very not safe. Even after its first use, the mask was invaluable, as you'll see in a minute. Wear proper safety gear, y'all. Your body will thank you. As for metal, I know a guy who has the hookup on some solid brass floor vents from a flooded house, so I chopped them up and got melting. And once our brass head phase shifted to liquid, it was time to pour. Oh my God, that's not good. Alright guys, well that's not a safe way to do that, I guess. Molten metal everywhere. Okay, yeah. So if you know why that happened, please tell me. My skin was completely covered in fairly durable materials, and my new face mask kept me safe from splatters and smoke, but I think it's mostly just dumb luck that I didn't get hit with any 1000-degree flying metal. Any idea what went wrong here? Because, as you'll see in a minute, the results are pretty dang good, and it would be nice to understand how to use this technique more safely. If you know, let me know. Anyway, after the angry brass stew had a chance to cool its jets, we can knock it out of the sand. There we go. Oh, it came off. Okay, cool. Steamy! Stinky! I should probably still be wearing that mask. Ooh! Ooh! Well, alright. I think we can work with that. I'll be able to cut that up and make it good. Yeah, yes, yes! Alright. Good enough. Yeah. You know what?
I think that's gonna be good enough for rock and roll, or the blues in this case, I guess. I had a couple spots where the shell cracked and some metal leaked out, but that might just be from how violent everything got with the liquid brass hitting the mold. Everywhere else, I've still got a faithful recreation of the part that I printed. So let's cut it loose of the casting tree and get to cleanup. Yeah, that looks pretty slide-like. I think this is gonna work. I started with some coarse grit sanding, moved over to a finer grit on the belt, and there we go, that's looking proper. I don't think I'm gonna get rid of all the textures from the 3D print, I just wanna make sure the playing surface is nice and smooth and polished. The rest will chalk up to witness marks and call it a day. The next step was a lot of hand wet sanding, working my way up the grits, and finally, to make everything shine, I used a buffing wheel and some honing compound. And there it is, looking real nice. But does it work? Now, I'm no slide player, but I've got this beat up old plywood parlor guitar that I always thought had a really nice blues tone, so let's see what we can do. I think for something I cast in my garage, this slide sounds pretty dang good. So with that, I packed it up, made it a little box with a magnetic closure and the initials of the recipient, and got it off to Santa for delivery. And that's gonna be it for this one, y'all. I just wanted to say Happy New Year, and I hope 2022 treats you well. If you want to see me make more awesome stuff, please just go ahead and subscribe. If you got questions or want to help me not put myself at the mercy of molten metal volcanoes, just leave a comment below, it would be really appreciated. You know, for the safety and stuff. Thanks as always to my patrons. If you want to support, there's a link down below. I love having you along for the ride, so until next time, I'll see you soon.